All right. So for the last part that I'm doing in my current vinyl collection, I'm gonna go through soundtracks and then box sets. So let's start it off. Found this recently. I think it was like $3 or $4. Used record. He doesn't want a Space Odyssey. I like this movie quite a bit. I like the music from this movie quite a bit. I'm not a massive fan of it, but I liked it enough to see it for a couple bucks and be like, oh yeah, it's a no-brainer because I'm a big space nerd. So even science fiction space is still fun space to me. I saw this at a Alamo Draft House with a friend in college, and that was a sick experience because Alamo Draft House is a cool sort of. I think it's only Texas based, but it's one of those places you go to for a movie, and they serve you food during the movie. It's expensive, but it's a fun experience. So, all right, this is American Graffiti Volume 3. This is one that my dad had. It's not in great condition. I've never seen American Graffiti. I have no real idea about the history of this record or anything. And I got this very recently. It's not in great condition from him, so at some point I'll have to give that a listen, but that's over here. This is the At the Movies pressing of Apollo 11. This is such a cool, it's sort of a pseudo-documentary with a bunch of remastered footage from the Apollo 11 flight that resulted in the moon landing. I'm trying to slip this out of its nice case that came with it. So this is really cool. The soundtrack in this movie is really good, and when I saw the sort of pressing come out, I was like, I gotta grab that. So this really cool insert with a bunch of stills from the movie and some written information that the developer wrote, or sorry, the director wrote about the soundtrack and how much they like it and whatnot. This is reminding me that I really need to resave this. This is the, I think it's called like the Moon Dust or something like that. It looks decent. It looks like kind of a smoky standard pressing, but still glad I grabbed this. This is At the Movies, which is like a UK based, or Europe based. I think it's Europe. I don't think it's UK entirely. But yeah, these At the Movies pressings are European based. I bought them from a German record store online. I think it's JPC. And they've came in good condition every time. The records are a little noisy. The mastering's always not the greatest, but I still really love the presentation, and particularly for these movie soundtracks. I'm listening to the soundtrack, but I also love the display piece for a movie that I love, since I don't collect a whole ton of CDs or Blu-rays or anything. Although I might in the future, since streaming just continues to spiral down the toilet. Against All Odds, another one from my dad's collection. This is in horrible condition. The sleeve is in pretty good condition, but the record itself is like actually shattering. Like you can tell that there's like seams where it's about to crack. Like if you gave it a little bit of pressure, the vinyl would split off. So I've not bothered to play that. Okay, here's a cool one. Blues Brothers. I have 2 copies of the Blues Brothers. This was my dad's copy of the Blues Brothers. This thing is beat to hell. I'm gonna pull it out real quick. Put this on my side table so it's out of the way. But yeah, this is absolutely shredded. So if I pull this out real quick, you can see it's literally missing a chunk out of the corner. So, I mean, it's not a huge portion of the record that's unlistenable because of that chunk, but the rest of the record is very scratched and in pretty poor condition. And Blues Brothers was one of those movies that I watched, not super young, but like young enough to where it made a good impact on me, probably like early teens. And I was like, this is such a fun movie. The music in this movie is so good. And so I found this on sale at Walmart. I think it was like 40% off or whatever, just on the online store. And so I picked it up because I wanted a version that I could actually listen to. So this is a pressed on. Oh, it's tough to get out here. Oh, there's the hype sticker I got for it, but it's just one of those Walmart ones, so I just stuck it in the sleeve. It's on blue vinyl. Translucent dark blue vinyl. I'm not crazy about colored records, like particularly these, but it was like the cheapest copy of this record that I could find. And I wasn't necessarily dead set on getting a new copy of Blues Brothers. I was like, oh, if I find a used one that's in good condition, I'll grab it. But it was so cheap, and I decided why not, because I do love the music from this movie. So my 2 copies of Blues Brothers, one I got for free from my dad. That's beat to hell, and one that's new that I can listen to. Dirty Dancing, another one from my dad. I think this is the last movie soundtrack from my dad, but this one is also not in the greatest condition. It's pretty tough, so haven't thrown that one on there. So a pivot to video games. This is Gress. This is a beautiful game. I should have checked before I opened this up, but I want to say it's like Conrad like Rosado. He's like a French artist who essentially did the artwork for this game. And it came with this booklet. Here's a bunch of credits and everything for those involved, but just the artwork in this game is phenomenal. It's so beautiful. And so this is, God, what is this? What is the record? Materia Music. They do pressings, vinyl pressings for piano versions of soundtracks, right? So they'll hire somebody to do a piano, to transcribe a soundtrack to piano, and then they'll put it out on vinyl. So this is a 2 vinyl, and this is the first edition pressing with this beautiful like charcoal black swirl finish, gray swirl finish with the beautiful, oh my goodness, oh careful, with the beautiful little artwork. Visually this is just a phenomenal looking record. But with the Materia stuff, they're expensive. This was like $45 to $50, and it sounds pretty bad. This one in particular, there's a lot of moments where the piano playing gets very, very intense and very heavy, and there's just obvious clipping on it. It pops and crackles like crazy. Anything like straight piano-based music, it's gonna be a little more obvious if there's imperfections in it. And these are some. For $50, man, these are beautiful, beautiful art pieces, but not something I would buy if you're planning on listening to it, which is a tough sell, but regardless. This is Her, the Spike Jonze, Joaquin Phoenix movie. This is one of my favorite movies. This was one of the first movies that I really watched that wasn't something like my parents had me watch. My dad is a movie buff, but he has his limits, and he has his era that he prefers, and I remember when this movie came out, my friend and I from school talking about it, and I'm being like, I'm a film buff now, and I'm not a film buff. I've never really been a film buff, but this movie made me feel like one. I really enjoyed it. So it's this sort of very flat white vinyl pressing. There's a cool little insert in here from Arcade Fire and Owen Pillay, I believe is how you Pillay? Not quite sure, but there's a little insert in here about the artwork and the meaning behind it and how excited they were to make this record and everything. It's really cute. And this record sounds so good. I love the soundtrack. It sounds phenomenal. I've listened to this a lot. I got this like 2 weeks ago. I listened to this like 4 times on record. It sounds real good. I bought it from Amazon on sale, and I was really annoyed the first time I got there. I've heard the horror stories about buying from Amazon, but nothing bad had ever happened to me until I bought this, and it was just bent. It was just absolutely horribly bent, and I immediately ran to my local Whole Foods and gave it to the Amazon return person. I was like, take this back, send me a new one. So it was unfortunate, but I'm glad I have it. It's a beautiful record, sounds phenomenal. All right, Hollow Knight, more video games. These are the 2 LP picture discs for the soundtrack of the game by Christopher Larkin. Ooh. These picture discs are gorgeous. So it is the charms from the game. There's the Soul Charm and the Void Charm design. Oh, I'm trying to squeeze this back in carefully. Grab this real quick. Oh, come on. Come on. Play nicely with me. Yeah, so beautiful picture discs. I don't like to buy a lot of picture discs. Typically, I don't really love the look of them, but in this particular case, Hollow Knight is like my favorite game in the last decade or so. So had to pick this up. The soundtrack is also phenomenal. Christopher Larkin, amazing job, and this is the DLC. All the downloadable content that came for free with the game. So there's Gods and Nightmares. So it was the Grim Trope DLC. What is the God something? The God Home whatever it was. There's a bunch of new tracks by Christopher Larkin that was made for the downloadable content that came later that came on this record, and it looks beautiful. This is all a Ghost Ramp, I believe. Ooh, grab this. So, ooh, track listing. And I'll show off the actual record. It's the sort of grim child design on this picture disc. Oh, this is tough to get a good look at. There it is. So, very happy with these. The Hollow Knight, the original Hollow Knight ones, it's kind of annoying to me that the inner paper sleeves open to the right. Tilts me a little bit. This one thankfully opens from the top. And I'll probably at some point replace those sleeves as well, but for now, fine with how it is. That's my two official Hollow Knight Christopher Larkins. This is Hollow Knight Piano Collections. So, pull this out. This is an unlucky story. This is from the same Materia Collective. This is the piano collection, piano collections where they took a lot of the popular songs from the Hollow Knight video game and put them out on piano. With this beautiful sort of inner art book. I'm not going to show the whole thing. I think the end picture here is of the performer that they had actually play the music for the recording. So real beautiful package again, very much like the Gris one, but just like the Gris one, it does not sound good. This is really unlucky. And this one in particular, I bought this on Discogs because the original pressing of this, like the original that I showed you for the Gris, was no longer available. So it is gorgeous, man. So it doesn't sound great, but man, does it ever look good. And I just couldn't live with myself. When these came out, I was really broke and had no money. So I got the second pressing, and then eventually I couldn't live with myself and decided I need the first pressing of this. So I now have it from a user on Discogs, sent it in good quality, looks good. I asked him like, hey, how does the copy sound? And he's like, well, I played it like twice, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it sounds pretty bad. So that's how I knew he wasn't lying. And I was like, okay, yep, mine's the same. But this is the first pressing. I have the second pressing down here. So like I said, brand new. This was like $50, and I got the first edition one from him for like I want to say like 95. So not a crazy markup, but still a little higher than I would like to pay. But this is the copy that I actually listened to. So this is just black vinyl, straight black vinyl. And so at this point, with a straight black vinyl, I don't think I could recommend anything from Materia. If you want that just display piece quality, man, those fresh pressings are gorgeous. You'll pay out the ass for them, and they're not going to sound phenomenal, but the presentation is really remarkable on these, and the records look good. Like particularly that Gris one, those Gris pressings are probably my favorite. Unique colored splatter, whatever you want to call it, smoky vinyl pressing that I have. Just my favorite outright. So weigh your priorities, weigh how much disposable income you have, and then make the decision. Interstellar. So this is another of the at the movies European pressings. This one also quite a bit noisy, a little quiet in some places. I've read pretty bad things about this one, but this is one of my favorite movies. Like I said, I'm a huge space nerd, so Interstellar, Apollo 11. If they ever print Apollo 13 on vinyl, I'm gonna go crazy. But this is Interstellar. This is all clear, I believe, clear vinyl pressing. Yep. So I've given this a play. This is such a good soundtrack that even though the vinyl is a little dirty and whatnot, it still sounds phenomenal. Just by virtue of being my favorite of Hans Zimmer's soundtracks. So yeah, so even though I wouldn't necessarily recommend importing these from Europe for the sound quality, like the presentation is really good. Yeah, that's about all I can say about that. And last but not least, Stranger Things Season 1, Volume 1. Apparently they have 2 volumes of this. This got repressed very recently, or pressed very recently, amidst the hype for Stranger Things Season 4, I believe. When this came out, though, man, it was crazy. The first season of Stranger Things. I have not watched any of the additional seasons, but the first season was so cool. I loved the art design, the character design, everything, and the soundtrack was so good. I listened to this thing so many times. So I never caught any of the original pressings or anything, but I saw this, volume one, and I checked the track list, make sure it had the most of the tracks that I absolutely loved on it, and it was. So I picked it up. It wasn't cheap. It was like $40, but the pressing is really cool, and these songs are just so great that I had to grab this. So check the gatefold. Yeah. Anyway, that's all of my soundtracks. I love soundtracks. So let's go into. Actually, let me just grab all of these off so I don't lean them up against the display records. Oh. Thankfully that was like the thinnest one, I think. Maybe not. Either way. Okay. Box sets. I have a couple box sets. Capsule Losing Contact. Duster. This was the box set that Numero Group put out. It includes Stratosphere, Contemporary Movement, Transmission Flux, which is the only way to get Transmission Flux vinyl pressing, and then 1975. These are all on just clear vinyl. So I have these two in alternate pressings. So these are the ones I'll typically play, because the other ones are beautiful pressings, and those are, they're nice, but nothing particularly special. And this is the one most people grab this box set for. It's the Transmission Flux. It has, Orbitron and Stars Will Fall, as well as they included other additional songs. So Echo Bravo, that is cut off of Stratosphere, which is one of the best Duster songs, is on this, and it's not on any of the Stratosphere pressings. So a little tricky for people who love that. And then there are pressings of 1975 out there, but I don't have one of those yet. I might pick one up, but this is Capsule Losing Contact. There's also an insert, I believe it's in 1975. Yep. So there's an insert in the record that has a bunch of pictures and some information and whatnot on Duster, the band. It's really cool. Like Mercury, I think Mercury, maybe Gemini era, like capsule images and moon Earth orbit diagrams and stuff. So some really cool stuff. I love this collection. I wish I waited until the gold dust, I think is what they called it, the gold dust pressing of this. I think it looks a little nicer than just the clear silver, but it is what it is. And it's worth noting that these record sleeves are from an eBay/Etsy seller called Sleevey Wonder. They came very highly recommended. I don't love them. The sizing is a little off on these. They don't fit one of my. They're advertised as 4 to 5 record box sets, but one of my 5 record box set, or it's a 5 LP box set. And it just does not fit in these sleeves. It's a very close fit, and the plastic itself is really banged up. There's a lot of little tiny holes and stuff in it. So hopefully I just got a bad batch, because I've heard great things about it from people in the community, but personal experience I could not recommend. I'm not going to delve into this one because it's in horrible condition, but it is a Electric Lights Orchestra, sort of a box of their best. It's a cool little collection with a bunch of discs in here. I went through and cleaned up a bunch of these, but this is in multiple pieces. The actual outer box set is in pieces, and the records are all played very well, so I'm not going to open that up. This is Permanent Waves, so this is the 40th anniversary collection. I'll pull this out. It includes both a copy of Permanent Waves, which is designed, the inserts and everything are designed to look exactly like the other copy I have, which is really cool. Same insert and everything, but it sounds nicer. It's a newer pressing on thicker vinyl, so it comes with this insert, big booklet with a bunch of designs and everything based off of Permanent Waves. So I'm not going to go through all of that, and then these are the reasons I buy these box sets, is there's live recordings. So this is a Permanent Waves World Tour 1980. So some really cool stuff on here. It's a gatefold 2 LP. This is not the best sounding Rush recording. There's a reason that they didn't initially release this. but it sounds serviceable. So it's not like their cleanest quality record. But then again, I also don't think the sound quality on a record like Exit Stage Left is all that great anyway. So to each their own. But yeah, Permanent Waves. This is a great record. I already had a copy that I showed earlier, but this thing can be found for essentially MSRP, and some of the older ones cannot. So I decided I'm getting the ones that I can get that are in print now, and I'll worry about the rest later. Keeping with that theme, Moving Pictures 40th. Let me slide this stuff out real quick. So, Moving Pictures, the most popular album. This is a really cool pressing, by the way. The colors are like, I don't know what you would call it. It's like matte versus translucent on the actual images from that artwork and everything. Sounds great. Love this pressing. Another one of those big booklets that comes with it. Got the hype sticker in there, and then this is really sick. Live in YYZ 1981. So they have two LPs, or two like individual records, and they're each 4 LPs. So 5 total LPs in this release. And this is I've listened to this a couple times. It's not as I think honestly I can't tell. I don't have Exit Stage Left on vinyl, but to my ears it sounds better. It could just be that I've listened to crummier versions of Exit Stage Left, but from listening to this, it sounds better in my opinion. So that's the one that the Sleevey Wonder sleeves didn't even get close to fitting on, even without the. I know sleeving the inner records is a little strange, but without the sleeves, it didn't matter. Even with just the box, no records in it, like trying to put it on was just not going to happen. Next are all of my Rush live records. So this one is the one that got the most beat up. I got this, I think from Target shipping or whatever, but the corners are pretty beat up. Like this is a new record I bought. It wasn't used or anything. It was in kind of beat up condition. The outer sleeve at least, but this is like a try. I don't know. It's a very large collection. Got a little download card that's trying to slip out, but these are like 180 gram. The entire Russian Rio show, which is a crazy live show if you've never heard it. Absolutely wild. The crowd in Rio was unreal, and this sounds really good. The digital mix, I definitely think this sounds a little bit better to my ears, but it could just be could be placebo or whatever. There's a lot of people out there who are crazy about vinyl record pressing sounding better, and I don't think this is. I'm pretty like 99% sure there's nothing analog about this really, but I think the mastering job they did for the LP sounds really really good. This is one that I'm excited to get to, but I got these relatively recently, so I haven't had a chance. I've only gotten through Rio so far. But this is Time Machines. This is the first Rush tour I ever got to see live. And this is another 4 LP, so gatefold, 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 a lot of gatefold. You can see my little download code is trying to fall out there. I've redeemed them, so don't even try. But Time Machine is a really interesting tour. They toured supporting 2 singles. They would tour for anything, and Rush are a crazy good live band. So highly recommend this project. They played the entirety of Moving Pictures on this tour. Much fanfare, which is really cool. A lot of those songs had never been live versions had never ended up on a live album before. So. And the finale of my Rush live collection so far, and I'm looking to expand this in the future, obviously. I'm waiting for Snakes and Arrows live. Come on, guys. But this is a 5 LP for the Clockwork Angels live tour. And this one's a little bit different. They put it in a box, so box comes up. You got an insert, and then you've got all 5 of the records just laid in here. So I haven't gotten a chance to listen to this. This and R40 in particular to me were they didn't have great, they didn't sound great. So I was lucky enough to see Clockwork Angels twice, got to see R40 once. So I love those track lists. I have very fond memories of them, but the live versions of them I don't think sound phenomenal. So I would love to hear if like Rio, these sound a little bit reinvigorated by the vinyl pressing. But anyway, that's it. Oh my god, my voice is hoarse, but I have a lot of records. I love the act of collecting records. It's a lot of fun having physical media for some of your favorite artists. Seeing this, awesome like thing that I might buy a poster of this artwork, for the Clockwork Angels tour, but instead I have it along with a bunch of physical media that I can throw on a media player, and just the mindset that you're in when you're listening to things on record is very different. You're much more focused, in my opinion. So love getting more and more into record collecting. I've been doing it. I've been buying a couple records, since 2016-ish, and I've really taken off with it in the last few months. So that's my collection. I'll probably do update videos as I get records in. Like, oh, here's all the records I got in August. Here's all the ones I got in October. So on and so forth. So yeah, thanks for anybody who cared enough about what I listen to listen to this video or watch this video. So thank you.